My favourite time to come and explore the boreal forest is now in the autumn, and mosquitoes have died right back. But there is one problem travelling by canoe here, and that is that the rivers often have very little water left in them. But I do have an ally in that, and that's the beaver. Beavers build dams in the rivers, and sometimes that's a godsend because they hold water in the river too. This amazing mound to my right is a beaver's lodge, and this has been created throughout the summer by a family of beavers, and inside there they've got chambers in which they can feed and sleep safely. They make their dams to keep the water level high enough that their entrance is underwater. That's for security and for safety. And at this time of year, they're just sort of completing the lodge. You can see some mud up there now. They'll start to cover this in mud. When the winter comes, that will freeze like a frozen cap on top of it to protect them from predators trying to burrow in. And you know, they modify this whole landscape to create this. The beaver play a vital role here in creating habitat for a whole range of water plants. The beaver certainly leave their mark on the landscape.
This is pretty good sized balsam poplar. I'd say this is 4 or 5 hours of work for the beavers. You can see all the teeth marks here, and they're all kind of horizontal. Well, they're not after the main trunk of the tree. It's the younger bark on the branches at the top of the tree that'll get them through the winter. That's what they digest. The way a beaver will do this is they come up and they turn their head sideways, and here's one of the chips that they've taken out, and it sits in the tree like that, and if you look at it, you can see their teeth marks. Basically, they chew once, twice, 3 times at the top, and then they reach down, and at the bottom they bite 1, 2, 3, 4 times if they need it, and then they just reach in and rip it out and toss it out to the side and go on to the next bite. The beavers are the engineers of the boreal forest. They build the lodge, they want to build the dam, they have all that knowledge right inside.
Beavers don't just live here, they play a part in maintaining the habitat they need to live, and that's important to understand because the boreal forest isn't just a static landscape, it's a living entity, a collective where everything plays its part. In fact, even the tiniest plants play a critical role in the very creation of parts of the forest. This is one of the miracles of the boreal forest, and despite its individual size, sphagnum moss is a powerful force here.
David, I'm quite astonished at the number of types of sphagnum I'm seeing here. How many different species do you have?
In our forest in Saskatchewan, we have 17 different species of sphagnum.
That's amazing, because where I come from, we've less than a handful. But the sphagnum plays an important role in the forest as a whole, doesn't it?
In the boreal forest, it's central. It determines what trees grow on this site, what shrubs grow on this site, makes it acid-tolerant plants grow there.
One of the things I find fascinating about this plant is how it's, in one sense, it's a sponge, and yet the environment in which it lives is also very wet. How does that work?
Well, it is a sponge. It gets established in a little wet area where water might be flowing through, and it starts to grow, and there's a sponge-like structure to it that allows it to absorb around 7 times its weight in water. And it grows to the extent where it will shut off those little channels coming into the site. And then it's really cut off not only the flow through, but it's cut off the flow of nutrients, nitrogen or phosphorus coming through.
The more sphagnum takes hold, the more it creates conditions where only sphagnum can live, Other plants are eased out, leaving boggy muskeg sitting on top of the peat bogs.
And once it's in that state, it just will grow. The peat moss accumulates. The only nutrients it gets are from the wind or from the rain, and it just starts releasing acid, starts lowering the temperature of the soil, making the site more and more favorable to sphagnum and less favorable to many plants that can't tolerate the acid, can't tolerate the low nutrients. And a bog starts to form in the forest and grows out from there until the sphagnum creates a mound.
So these raised bogs.
The raised bogs or the pulses. And it's really an organic landform completely created by this moss that is that high in its maturity.
It's amazing. It's really beautiful in here, isn't it?
Fine feather moss, fine moss yard forest.
It's fantastic. It's beautiful. Like a giant carpet. Light and all sorts of things peering out of the moss.
Yes. Red squirrels have made this. This is red squirrel mitten, and this is where they store their winter food.
It's amazing. And I think like they got some jack pines already in here.
Yes, indeed, yeah. They're starting to put it underground, from the crop down underground. Yeah. And the whole mound is made out of shelled black spruce cones that they've taken apart the cones to get to the seeds. And this is how their food source for all winter.
So they actually go underground at some point.
Yes, when it gets colder than minus 30 Celsius, the squirrels can't take that temperature. So they'll leave the treetops, go underground. So it's a warning if you're traveling in the woods when the squirrels go silent and you're not seeing them anymore. You know it's that temperature or colder.
Stand still, David. David, I don't know what you know, but just behind you there's actually a squirrel with a mouthful of cones.
No kidding.
That's amazing. They really are busy, aren't they?
It's an important time of year for them.
How long do you think they've got until the snow comes?
The snow will come mid-October or a bit later, so they're down to under a month at this point. They've got their work to do, just like the beavers in mudding and building up their lodges.
I think we better leave them to it.
Yes.
If the forest is a daunting and harsh place in the autumn, it's nothing compared to the long 6 months of winter. No wonder European explorers were reluctant to come here. Why would anyone want to penetrate this frozen wilderness? Smothered in its winter clothes, I find it a truly stunning and overwhelming place. With temperatures of minus 40, it's not for the faint-hearted, but anyone who braves the elements can guarantee a wonderland. And somewhere out there, all the wildlife, all the moss, all the trees somehow manage to survive. It's a totally different place in the winter, worlds apart in fact from the summer months, but no less intriguing.